The diplomatic chamber of the Galactic Confederation trembled with anticipation. Massive crystalline walls, each representing a different member civilization, reflected the nervous energy of over 300 alien delegates. Holographic displays flickered with real-time translation algorithms, capturing every minute detail of the impending hearing. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood just outside the massive Durasteel doors, her fingers tracing the outline of the diplomatic briefcase that seemed impossibly old compared to the sleek, advanced technology surrounding her. The case was a deliberate choice. A relic from Earth's first interstellar diplomatic mission, its scratched surface telling a story of humanity's tumultuous journey to the stars. Her cybernetic left eye whirred softly, quantum processors analyzing potential threat vectors with microscopic precision. The ocular implant was more than a technological marvel. It was a living testament to humanity's ability to transform weakness into strength. Earned during the brutal First Contact Wars, the implant had saved her life more times than she could count, each near-death experience etched into its quantum memory core. Suddenly, the chamber erupted in a cascade of destructive energy. A massive explosion tore through the diplomatic hall, crystalline walls shattering like glass, holographic displays exploding in cascades of light and static. Alien delegates screamed, some in terror, others in their native communication frequencies that translated to sounds between a screech and a subsonic rumble. Rodriguez didn't flinch. Where others would have been vaporized, she remained standing. Her specialized diplomatic armor, a microsecond responsive nanomaterial developed during humanity's most desperate technological innovations, had absorbed most of the blast. Dust and debris swirled around her like a deadly ballet, and through the chaos, her cybernetic eye continued to calculate, analyze, assess. The assassination attempt was brutally precise. Anti-human extremists had spent months planning this moment, a final attempt to prevent humanity's continued presence in the Galactic Confederation. They had calculated every variable, except one, Elena Rodriguez. As the smoke began to clear, delegates from various star systems stared in shock. The Kelpin representative, a gaseous being contained in a complex environmental suit, pulsed with what could only be described as confusion. The Urilan hierarchy's representative, a crystalline entity that communicated through complex light refraction, seemed to flicker between terror and grudging respect. Rodriguez took her first step into the devastated chamber. Her movement was deliberate, each step calculated. The diplomatic briefcase, seemingly untouched by the explosion, hung at her side. Around her, emergency containment fields flickered to life, sealing potential breaches and stabilizing the environment. Automated repair systems began reconstructing the damaged infrastructure, nanobots swarming like metallic insects to rebuild walls and regenerate destroyed technology. "I apologize for the interruption," Rodriguez spoke, her voice carrying through the chamber's communication systems. It wasn't a shout, wasn't even particularly loud, but it cut through the chaos like a knife. The Zoraxian representative, traditionally the most vocal critic of human involvement in galactic affairs, leaned forward, its multifaceted eyes, capable of seeing across 17 different electromagnetic spectrums, focused entirely on Rodriguez. "You were saying," Rodriguez continued, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. The message was clear. Humanity would not be intimidated. Humanity would not be stopped. The explosion was more than an assassination attempt. It was a statement. And Rodriguez had just turned that statement on its head. As emergency protocols completed their cycle and the chamber stabilized, the true hearing was about to begin. The anti-human extremists had just provided Rodriguez with the most powerful opening argument possible, a demonstration of humanity's impossible resilience. The Star Council would hear her out. They had no choice. Outside the chamber, unseen by the delegates, a quantum communication burst transmitted a single message to Earth. Just 3 words that would set the next phase of humanity's galactic destiny into motion. Scenario 1. Activated asterisk. The holographic memory core flickered to life, projecting a tapestry of human survival that defied every known galactic probability matrix. Each scene was a testament to humanity's most impossible moments, chronicles of a species that refused to be defined by limitations. First, the neutron storm incident. 3 advanced alien exploration vessels, the pride of the Centauri Concordance, had entered the storm's perimeter, their sophisticated shielding designed to withstand the most extreme cosmic conditions. Humanity's single colony ship, the U.S. Defiance, was never supposed to survive. Its hull was a patchwork of recycled materials, its crew a mix of desperate colonists and even more desperate engineers. The storm raged with the fury of 1,000 dying stars. Electromagnetic pulses that could shred molecular bonds danced around the ship like hungry predators. The Centauri vessels disintegrated within moments, their advanced technology crumbling like paper in a hurricane. But the human ship, that impossible, cobbled-together marvel, not only survived but emerged with its navigation systems intact. Captain Maya Chen, her hands wrapped in emergency thermal conductors, had manually rerouted power through a system of her own design. When the primary quantum drive failed, she used an improvised solution involving the ship's life support recycling units and a jury-rigged communication array. It was madness. It was genius. The memory core shifted, revealing another impossible moment. The lone human engineer, Dr. Alexei Volkov, stood before a failing planetary defense grid. The planet Epsilon 9, home to 3 different alien species, was moments away from total destruction. Conventional wisdom suggested evacuation. Volkov had other plans. With nothing but a neural link and a determination that bordered on insanity, he began to reprogram the entire defensive system. His fingers moved like lightning across holographic interfaces, rewriting fundamental operational codes in real time. The alien technicians watching him believed it was impossible. Volkov didn't care about their beliefs. 12 minutes later, the defense grid not only activated but created a defensive matrix that would become standard across multiple star systems. What should have been a moment of total destruction became a breakthrough in planetary protection technology. The memories continued to cascade. A human medical team solving a genetic plague that had decimated the Kelpin Collective for centuries. A deep space exploration unit that accidentally neutralized a quantum weapon capable of destroying 3 star systems. Each moment was a punch against the universe's expectations. These were not just isolated incidents. They represented a pattern, humanity's fundamental approach to survival. Where other species saw insurmountable obstacles, humans saw puzzles waiting to be solved. Where conventional logic suggested retreat, humans found innovative paths forward. The Urlan hierarchy's synanthropological records told a fascinating story. Most galactic civilizations reached a technological plateau and then stagnated. They optimized. They refined. They became efficient. Humanity did something different. When faced with a challenge, they didn't just adapt. They transformed. Climate catastrophe on Earth could have been the end. Instead, it became humanity's crucible. Rising sea levels. They built floating cities. Collapsing agricultural systems. They developed vertical farming and genetic crop optimization. Energy crisis. They leapfrogged through multiple technological generations, creating solutions that made previous energy production methods look like primitive campfires. Each memory in the core was a challenge overcome, a limitation shattered, a probability defied. The universe had presented humanity with a series of impossible scenarios. Humanity's response was always the same. Watch me. The holographic display began to fade, but its message was clear. Humanity was not just another species in the galactic community. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and absolutely unstoppable. As the last image dissolved, a human research team solving a mathematical problem that had stumped an entire alien civilization for millennia. A single line of text remained. Asterisk, we do not adapt to survive. We survived to transform asterisk. The prosecution's chamber hummed with a complex mixture of technological anticipation and biological tension. Holographic evidence materialized with surgical precision, each projection a weapon designed to dismantle humanity's galactic standing. Chief Prosecutor Zarek of the Zoraxian Tribunal moved with calculated grace. Its multi-segmented body, a complex biomechanical organism that represented the pinnacle of bureaucratic evolution, manipulated data streams with frightening efficiency. Each movement suggested centuries of diplomatic experience, each gesture a calculated political maneuver. Charges against humanity are not mere accusations, Zarek began, its voice a perfect algorithmic translation that carried undertones of clinical disdain. They are a comprehensive indictment of a species that represents the most dangerous form of cosmic chaos. The first holographic display showed unauthorized wormhole experiments conducted by a human research team. What should have been a controlled scientific exploration had instead created unexpected quantum resonances that destabilize 3 minor trade routes. The human team's response. They had not only mapped the unexpected quantum fluctuations, but developed a stabilization protocol that became standard across multiple scientific institutions. Next, diplomatic interference. Humans had mediated a conflict between the Kelpin Collective and the Urlan hierarchy, a dispute that had lasted over 17 generations. Traditional galactic diplomatic protocols suggested careful, incremental negotiations. The human team had instead proposed a radical solution that completely restructured the economic and territorial agreements between the two civilizations. They did not negotiate, Zarek emphasized. They rewrote fundamental social contracts. The technological disruption evidence was even more damning. A human startup had developed a communication algorithm that made existing quantum communication networks look like primitive smoke signals. The economic implications were seismic. Entire communication infrastructure corporations across multiple star systems found themselves obsolete overnight. But the most concerning piece of evidence was a classified report about a human deep space exploration team. During a routine mission, they had accidentally neutralized a quantum weapon capable of destroying 3 star systems. The method? An improvised solution that combined theoretical quantum mechanics with what could only be described as creative engineering. Accidentally, Zarek emphasized, they prevented a potential galactic catastrophe using methods that defy our most advanced scientific understanding. The prosecution's final projection was a comprehensive map showing human technological and diplomatic interventions over the past decade. Like a virus, human influence had spread across multiple star systems, transforming existing power structures with terrifying efficiency. What made humans truly dangerous was not their technology. It was their unpredictability, their ability to look at established systems and see not limitations, but opportunities for radical transformation. The Kelpin representative added its own evidence, a series of economic disruptions caused by human technological innovations. The Urlan hierarchy presented diplomatic anomalies that challenged centuries of established interstellar protocols. Each piece of evidence was simultaneously an accusation and a grudging acknowledgement of human potential. Zarek's final statement hung in the air, a quantum-encrypted challenge. Humanity is not just a member of the Galactic Confederation. They are a fundamental disruption to everything we understand about civilizational development. Outside the prosecution chamber, unseen by the delegates, a single quantum communication burst transmitted a message to Earth. 3 words that would echo through diplomatic channels. Asterisk, they are afraid asterisk. The preparation room was not a typical diplomatic workspace. It was a war chamber of information, a quantum-networked sanctuary where strategy transcended traditional boundaries of diplomacy and conflict. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez moved like a predator, her cybernetic eye continuously processing millions of data points per second. Quantum computers hummed with an almost alive energy, holographic displays dancing with complex algorithmic projections. Neural-linked assistants compiled information from sources that spanned multiple star systems, creating a comprehensive matrix of potential diplomatic scenarios. This was more than preparation. This was strategic warfare conducted through information and perception. Her team was a carefully curated group of specialists. Dr. Marcus Chen, a xenoanthropological historian with 3 different species neural implants. Lieutenant Commander Arya Patel, a quantum communication specialist who had rewritten interstellar communication protocols. Dr. Kazuki Tanaka, a theoretical physicist whose models had transformed understanding of multidimensional diplomatic interactions. "We're not preparing a defense," Rodriguez stated, her voice cutting through the technological noise. "We're constructing a narrative that will fundamentally reshape the Star Council's understanding of humanity." A holographic display showed multiple potential outcome scenarios. Red lines represented paths leading to humanity's expulsion from the Galactic Confederation. Green lines represented potential diplomatic survival. But there was one improbable path. A quantum probability thread so thin it was almost invisible, that represented total transformation of the existing galactic order. That was the path Rodriguez was engineering. Each team member worked with a precision that bordered on symphonic. Chen was deconstructing historical diplomatic interactions, identifying patterns of alien decision-making that had remained consistent for millennia. Patel was developing communication algorithms that could translate not just language, but cultural and psychological nuances. Tanaka's work was perhaps the most fascinating. He was developing a predictive model that could project potential galactic developments based on humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. Traditional alien diplomatic models assumed linear progression. Humanity's models looked more like complex, adaptive systems, chaotic yet fundamentally transformative. The key, Rodriguez explained to her team, is to demonstrate that our chaos is not weakness. It's the most advanced form of adaptive intelligence the galaxy has ever seen. She pulled up a series of case studies: the neutron storm survival, the planetary defense grid revolution, the quantum weapon neutralization. Each incident was more than a story of survival. They were evidence of a fundamental difference in species approach. Where other civilizations saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities for radical innovation. The quantum computers began generating millions of potential diplomatic scenarios. Each scenario was a complex web of potential interactions, cultural misunderstandings, technological disruptions. Most models would collapse under such complexity. These models adapted, transformed, found paths where other systems would fail. As the final hours before the hearing ticked down, Rodriguez made her most critical decision. She wasn't going to defend humanity. She was going to challenge the entire foundational understanding of civilizational development. Her cybernetic eye flickered, processing the final strategic matrices. One specific probability thread began to glow. Bright, almost impossible, but present. A quantum communication burst transmitted to her most trusted operatives. 3 words that would set the next phase of the strategy into motion. Asterisk prepare scenario Omega asterisk. Silence descended on the diplomatic chamber as Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stepped forward. The aftermath of the earlier explosion still lingered, scorch marks on crystalline walls, the faint electrical charge of disrupted quantum fields. But Rodriguez stood unbroken, the living testament to humanity's resilience. Distinguished members of the Star Council, she began, her voice carrying a resonance that transcended mere sound. Today, I do not come to defend humanity. I come to reveal a truth that will fundamentally transform our understanding of cosmic civilization. With a gesture, a holographic display materialized. It showed an archaeological discovery so profound that it threatened to rewrite the entire history of galactic civilization. Ancient genetic markers, technological remnants, quantum signature analyses, all pointing to a single, stunning conclusion. We are not newcomers to this galactic stage, Rodriguez continued. We are, in fact, the closest genetic and technological descendants of the original founding civilization that seeded intelligent life across multiple star systems. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Zoraxian representative's multifaceted eyes flickered with a combination of confusion and growing unease. Rodriguez wasn't finished. She began to deconstruct the prosecution's case with surgical precision. Each accusation of human recklessness was revealed as a fundamental misunderstanding of human innovative capacity. The unauthorized wormhole experiments, a breakthrough in quantum navigation that would revolutionize interstellar travel, the diplomatic interference in long-standing conflicts, solutions that addressed root causes rather than maintaining centuries of artificial tension. Chaos is not our weakness, she declared. It is our most advanced form of intelligence. To demonstrate, she activated a series of holographic simulations. Each showed a complex problem: environmental collapse, technological stagnation, interspecies conflict, with conventional solutions represented in muted grays. Then the human approach would emerge, dynamic, adaptive, transformative, painting the simulation in vibrant living colors. The Kelpin representative's environmental suit pulsed with what could only be described as technological agitation. The Urlan hierarchy's representatives exchanged quantum-encrypted communications at unprecedented speeds. Rodriguez revealed how human interventions had prevented total species extinctions, resolved seemingly impossible conflicts, and introduced technologies that benefited the entire galactic community. Where other species saw problems, humans saw opportunities for radical innovation. "We are not asking for acceptance," she stated. "We are offering a fundamental reimagining of what civilization can be." Her cybernetic eye projected a comprehensive model, a living, breathing representation of human potential. It showed not just humanity's past achievements, but a projected future where human innovation could solve challenges that had stymied galactic civilizations for millennia. The final piece of her presentation was both a challenge and an invitation, a classified research project that suggested an incoming cosmic threat, a quantum-level anomaly that could devastate multiple star systems, and humanity. They were the only species with the potential to develop a mitigation strategy. As her speech concluded, the diplomatic chamber was more than silent. It was suspended in a moment of collective recalibration. The Zoraxian representative leaned forward, its complex biological systems processing information at unprecedented speeds. Rodriguez's final words hung in the air, a quantum-encrypted challenge to everything the Star Council believed. "We are not your problem. We are the solution you haven't yet imagined." The moment Rodriguez mentioned the cosmic threat, the diplomatic chamber transformed. What had been a hearing became something far more critical, a potential fight for galactic survival. Holographic displays erupted with complex quantum data streams. The cosmic anomaly wasn't just a theoretical threat. It was a real-time quantum cascade that could unravel the fundamental structural integrity of multiple star systems. Traditional alien detection systems had missed its initial manifestations. Humanity's experimental quantum monitoring network had caught its earliest signatures. Dr. Marcus Chen stepped forward, his neural implants creating a living interface with the chamber's communication systems. His presentation was less a scientific report and more a real-time demonstration of impending doom. "The anomaly is not just a spatial disturbance," Chen explained, his voice carrying the weight of scientific certainty. "It's a quantum-level event horizon that threatens to deconstruct the fundamental molecular bonds across entire star systems." A holographic display began to animate, showing a terrifying progression. Quantum strings, invisible to most detection systems, began to unravel. Star systems that appeared stable would suddenly begin to collapse, their molecular structures breaking down at speeds that defied conventional physics. The Zoraxian representative's multifaceted eyes flickered with a combination of terror and disbelief. The Kelpin collective's environmental suit pulsed with increasing agitation. Each alien delegation realized simultaneously that this was beyond traditional diplomatic posturing. Chen's presentation demonstrated how humanity's unique approach to problem-solving might be the only potential solution. Where conventional scientific models suggested evacuation or futile resistance, human researchers had developed a radical intervention strategy. "We're not just presenting a problem. Chen continued. We're offering a solution that requires the kind of adaptive thinking only humans have consistently demonstrated. The solution was nothing short of scientific heresy. It involved using quantum entanglement in ways that violated every established scientific protocol across multiple alien civilizations. The proposed method would essentially create a quantum firebreak, a defensive matrix that could potentially stabilize the molecular disintegration. Rodriguez stepped forward, her cybernetic eye projecting additional data streams. This is not a theoretical exercise. We have a window of approximately 72 standard galactic cycles before the anomaly reaches critical mass. The chamber fell into a profound silence. The prosecution's case against humanity now seemed laughably insignificant compared to the cosmic threat being presented. Dr. Kazuki Tanaka, the team's theoretical physicist, began to demonstrate the intervention model. Holographic projections showed complex quantum interactions, with human-developed algorithms dancing across multiple dimensional planes. It was less a scientific presentation and more a living artwork of potential salvation. We don't just see the problem, Tanaka explained. We see the opportunities within the problem. The alien delegates watched as the human team effectively rewrote the understanding of quantum mechanics in real time. Their approach was chaotic, dynamic, seemingly impossible, and yet it was the only viable path forward. Rodriguez's final statement hung in the air, a challenge and an invitation. The question is no longer whether humanity belongs in the Galactic Confederation. The question is whether the Galactic Confederation can survive without humanity's approach to problem solving. A quantum communication burst transmitted to Earth, 3 words that captured the moment's complexity. Threat. Opportunity. Transform. Time seemed to crystallize in the diplomatic chamber. The moment Rodriguez finished her presentation, an unprecedented silence descended, not the quiet of emptiness, but the profound stillness of collective recalibration. The Star Council entered a rarely used diplomatic protocol known as the quantum deliberation field. It was a state of collective consciousness that occurred only in the most extraordinary circumstances, when a fundamental challenge to existing galactic understanding emerged. Each alien representative began to pulse with complex bioquantum energies. The Zoraxian delegates' multifaceted eyes flickered through 17 different electromagnetic spectrums simultaneously. The Kelpin collective's environmental suit transformed, its molecular structure becoming a living computation matrix. The Urlan hierarchy's crystalline representatives began to resonate at frequencies that transcended traditional communication. Rodriguez stood at the center of this extraordinary moment, her cybernetic eye collecting and analyzing every micro-interaction. She wasn't waiting. She was observing, a scientist studying a complex biological response. The human delegation understood something the other species did not. This moment was not about winning an argument. It was about fundamentally transforming the existing paradigm. Dr. Chen's neural implants were capturing every quantum fluctuation. Lieutenant Commander Patel's communication algorithms were decoding interactions that would have been invisible to traditional diplomatic sensors. Dr. Tanaka's predictive models were generating millions of potential scenario outcomes per microsecond. Whispers of quantum-encrypted conversations passed between delegates, not spoken words, but pure information exchanges that traversed biological and technological boundaries. They were discussing humanity not as a species to be judged, but as a fundamental variable that had been misunderstood. The cosmic threat presented earlier hung in the background, a silent reminder of the stakes. The quantum anomaly that could destroy multiple star systems was no longer an abstract concept. It was a challenge that required a response beyond traditional thinking. Rodriguez's earlier presentation had done more than defend humanity. It had introduced a completely new framework for understanding civilizational development. The archaeological evidence suggesting humanity's connection to the original founding civilization was particularly destabilizing. It wasn't just a historical footnote, it was a fundamental reimagining of galactic history. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The quantum deliberation field continued, a living, breathing entity of collective consciousness. Traditional diplomatic protocols dissolved. This was something else entirely. Her cybernetic eye tracked the interactions. Most fascinating was not what was being said, but what remained unsaid. The fears, the grudging respect, the terror of potential transformation. The Zoraxian representative, traditionally the most vocal critic of human involvement, remained unusually still. Its complex biological systems were processing information at speeds that would have overwhelmed most computational matrices. A single quantum communication burst transmitted to Earth. 3 words that captured the extraordinary moment. Asterisk paradigm. Breaking. Now. Asterisk. Rodriguez allowed herself the slightest smile. The hearing was no longer about humanity's place in the Galactic Confederation. It was about rewriting the fundamental understanding of what civilization could be. The moment of silence continued, a living testament to the power of unexpected potential. The quantum deliberation field began to dissolve, leaving behind a transformed diplomatic landscape that would never be the same again. Instead of a traditional verdict, the Star Council entered an unprecedented state of collective recalibration. They would not expel humanity. They would not even simply accept humanity. They were fundamentally reimagining the entire structure of the Galactic Confederation. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of this transformation, her cybernetic eye continuing to process the complex interactions around her. The diplomatic chamber, still scared from the earlier explosion, now felt like a crucible of cosmic potential. The Zoraxian representative was the first to break the silence. Its communication was not verbal, but a complex quantum burst that carried more information in a microsecond than most species could convey in years of dialogue. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer to be viewed as a member species, but as a fundamental catalyst for galactic evolution. Dr. Marcus Chen's neural implants were capturing every nuance of the unfolding moment. The archaeological evidence they had presented, humanity's potential connection to the original founding civilization, had done more than challenge existing narratives. It had completely obliterated them. Lieutenant Commander Arya Patel's communication algorithms were already beginning to draft new diplomatic protocols. These were not mere administrative documents, but living, adaptive frameworks that could evolve in real time. Traditional diplomatic communication would become as obsolete as smoke signals. The cosmic threat they had revealed remained a critical backdrop. The quantum anomaly that could potentially destroy multiple star systems was now a shared problem. And humanity's approach to problem-solving had transformed it from a potential extinction event to an opportunity for collective advancement. Delegates from various star systems began to move, not physically, but in quantum-entangled communication patterns that defied traditional understanding. The Kelpin Collective's environmental suit pulsed with a combination of terror and grudging respect. The Urdlan hierarchy's crystalline representatives began to resonate at frequencies that suggested fundamental molecular reconfiguration. Rodriguez understood something profound. This was never about winning an argument. This was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to existence. The Star Council's response was unlike anything in galactic diplomatic history. They were not going to vote. They were going to transform. The hearing had become something else entirely. A moment of species-wide recalibration. Dr. Kazuki Tanaka's predictive models were generating scenarios that would have been considered impossible mere hours ago. Potential collaborations, technological exchanges, the complete restructuring of how different species might interact and evolve together. A quantum communication burst transmitted to Earth, 3 words that captured the magnitude of the moment. Asterisk transformation. Begins. Now. Asterisk. The diplomatic chamber was no longer just a room. It had become a living testament to the power of unexpected potential. Humanity had not just defended its place in the Galactic Confederation. They had fundamentally rewritten the rules of cosmic interaction. As the first phase of the hearing concluded, one